Yeah, we should be live now. So today's character is going to be Littleback, and then I will be doing Greninja afterwards to kind of do a pre-record character. But it will come out tomorrow on YouTube, so if you're seeing that on there, then it's tomorrow. And I'm starting to pre-record a few streams because I'm going to be gone for a week. Not this coming week, but next week, so won't be able to do any streaming, but I should be able to get videos, which is why I'm starting to kind of do a lot of streams for this week, so that way next week I'm completely clear of anything, basically. So, yeah, Little Mac is the third fastest character in the game on the ground, and actually let me pull this up real fast, because I do have it written down. Okay, so Little Mac, he is the third in ground speed behind Captain Falcon and Sonic, tied for 12th in airspeed with Mario, Sonic, and Inkling, and his fall speed is tied for second with King Dedede and Piranha Plant. So, he is a pretty fast character. Although he does tie in a few places. He moves on the ground, third fastest, moves in the air the 12th fastest, and then falls the second fastest. Fox obviously falls the fastest because he's Fox, and he's just known for being able to move around in the air quickly. So, yeah, I guess we can go ahead and get started on just like movement, but kind of just like running around and foxtrotting with Mac is something that could be utilized a lot more by Mac players. I don't really see a lot of them just kind of dash like this. A foxtrot is basically whenever you dash forward and then you dash again, rather than holding down after you dash. So something like this. And you stop yourself and then you can like throw out an attack, so like throw out a jab there. Stuff like that could help Little Mac out a lot because you could try to bait and punish attacks because Mac has decent enough ability to be able to do that with his momentum, but not a lot of people really utilize it. For jump height, it's not that great of a jump. Obviously, Little Mac's not known for his recovering jump height, but his up special pretty much doesn't get that close to the top blast zone. Even his air dodge upward. His air dodge upward is, I believe, the worst in terms of just distance upward in the game. But I could be wrong on that. His sideways air dodges are okay, and then down is okay as well, but his upward one is definitely pretty lackluster. But yeah, just recovery in general is not going to be that solid. You can side special to be able to recover in certain scenarios, but if you are hit out of your side special, you will die. And as you can see, Mac can just recover about where the bottom of that stage is where his feet need to be. And if he's any lower than that, then his up special won't have enough height to get him back to the ledge. So it is something to be aware of whenever you're trying to edgeguard people. I recommend kind of just staying on stage, and if you do get off stage, just throwing out something like an air, then getting as close to the ledge as possible, because if you get thrown about here, then you won't be making it back at any point in time, unless you're hit back on stage, which is pretty unlikely, as people wouldn't just leave Mac alone off stage, because he's probably not going to come back. And if you slide special off stage as well, you will not be able to return. Unless you're playing on Yoshi's Island Brawl, and then there could be the platform there. And same thing with Town and City, but it's pretty situational. And then Smashville as well. But yeah, those are all kind of situational events. And most tournaments don't really play with hazards off in the first place, so they're pretty unlikely. Or with hazards on in the first place, so it's pretty unlikely that you'll run into any of those scenarios if you're playing in a tournament. So yeah, I guess we can go ahead and get into Moveset. So for dash attack, it's very fast, actually. It doesn't combo into jab like I did there, but Mac does have something with his jab that I'll try to explain, but I can't really perform it myself. But yeah, it just depends on your opponent's like DI, if you will be able to land a jab. Because if they DI away from Mac, then he has to run a lot further after this hit. But if they DI in, then you can probably land a hit after that dash attack and get in a bit of damage. But just try to stay on stage if you are going to go for any damage, as if you fall off stage you won't return. That's kind of just the main thing that you want to do with Max. You want to stay as close to the ground as possible. Because if you get into the air at any point in time, then if you get hit like out of your jump or out of your air dodge, or not out of your air dodge, but like out of your side special, then it hurts your recovery a lot. And then for jab, you've got a really good 3-hit jab. It can combo into itself. It's kind of hard to do. And it also depends on percent. Okay, so if I turn Falcon's percent up, I think I can do this correctly. But you have to get it pretty precisely timed for it to work, and then you also have to make sure that you jab perfectly. And then, yeah, I can't really do it. For jab block, you've got a pretty decent jab block, actually. You can do a lot of stuff out of it. Although, can't really hit Falcon. You can see your down smash can hit opponents pretty easily. You can angle down your forward smash as well to hit opponents pretty low to the ground. So, just depending on how you want to punish it, you can pretty much cover a jab block with almost any one of your smash attacks, or your down tilt works pretty well as well. So now we can go into tilts. So you've got forward tilt, which did get fixed in the last patch, which now it hits opponents in the air much easier and actually will connect for both hits, which is really good for Mac because that can set up a lot of edge guards. And what you'll commonly see Macs do at ledge, I'm not the best at it, but they'll charge down smash at ledge, and so that just allows them to get a 2-frame or just hit people at the ledge that haven't grabbed it yet. So it's pretty important to try to land one, although, as you can see, I'm not the best at doing it. You have to time it pretty perfectly. There's a lot of ways that you can practice it just by doing this, but forward tilt sets up for it nicely, and there was a 2-frame right there. But as you can see, forward tilt just hits directly at that angle where you kind of force them to use their up special, and then you can punish that with a down smash. But forward tilt also sets up tech chases on the ground, which is one of Mac's best qualities, is because he's so fast that he can tech chase really well. It's not something that's brought up a lot because a lot of people just kind of write off Little Mac due to his bad recovery, but he has probably some of the best tech chasing out of any character in the game, just because he can run around so quickly that he can cover multiple options easily. Although, in the air, he can't really cover that many options, and I'll get into that. But for up tilt, it's pretty good if people are landing on you. It will combo into itself at higher percents, although you can see there, like, it kind of doesn't really work all the time, and then your opponent can DI, but you can maybe get like a 3-hit combo with an up air included. But mainly just used for juggling, or if people are landing on you. It hits pretty low to the ground on startup and behind Little Mac, so you can hit most opponents, even if they're smaller opponents. But if they're crouching, then you probably will not be able to hit them, because it is just an up tilt, so not going to be one of your best moves for hitting people on the ground. Still a decent move if people are landing on you, or if you want to get in some juggle damage. Down tilt's really good for just running up and poking people, because if they shield, then you can kind of just push their shield and then kind of back up as quickly as possible, and you might be able to escape their punish. And then if you do that enough, you can eventually hit them out of their shield, and then maybe get a follow-up like down tilt and a KO punch, if you're afraid that they might run up and try to like counter your KO punch, because there are ways to counter KO punch, like just by air dodging, or like people can just run up and air dodge away, and that might be a KO punch. So what you want to do is you want to try to get down tilt into KO punch, because that will be able to set it up pretty nicely. And I'm not entirely sure if that's true. I'll test whenever I get KO punch, but it's still a really decent option for Little Mac. And then it can also be used to kind of space if you want to do spacing as Mac, but he's a very good rushdown character, so I would say spacing is not really too important for Mac, although you obviously still want to space out moves like forward tilt if you can, but just like spacing in general, like if I wanted to get stage control with Mac, that's kind of not the point of playing Little Mac. You kind of just want to push people off stage and get rid of their stocks as quickly as possible without going off stage yourself. So yeah, now we can get into smashes. So with up smash, it does a pretty significant amount of damage. It can be performed out of shield as well, so that was a grab. But if somebody's just like directly in front of you and you just want to try to cover their jump or try to cover them landing on you, if they are running at you and you have your shield open, you can throw out an up smash and you will be able to get a decent amount of damage. Like, that would just be tapping up smash and then letting go, and it got 26.4%, so definitely not a bad move. It does give you super armor on the move. I don't know if you can see it, but let me, whoops, did not mean to spawn that crate, but let me make sure. Okay, so invincibility is on. I guess I'll have to slow it down a bit. So it's not anything too special, but you do get a bit of invincibility while the move is first active. Or not invincibility, but super armor while the move is first active. But I guess it's not going to display on that move. Same thing with all of your other smash attacks. Whenever you're actually in the animation where the moves connect to opponents and they'll do damage, then you'll get invincibility. But, or I mean, not invincibility, but super armor. But it appears that it's not going to display. It usually displays whenever, or I guess green is when attacks deal no damage. Okay. So I thought green was super armor, but never mind. So, yeah. You do get super armor on all of your smash attacks, which is really good because that can just allow Mac to spam smash attacks. And if you spam smash attacks, you can't do it on people's shields, obviously, because then you get punished unless you space it out really well. Or you just do an attack that's strong enough to break their shield, which Mac doesn't really have any that are just a shield break instantly, like Martha and Lucina shield breaker, for example. If they shield pretty early during the move's charging time, then their shield will break whenever it's fully charged. But with Mac, a lot of his smash attacks, if you just do like that, that won't really damage the shield too much. But yeah, up smash, really good move for just if people are landing on you, or if you want to try to approach, get into shield, and then up smash. And as you can see, it does hit opponents lying on the ground, so it has a pretty decent amount of range in terms of vertical distance, but not too much horizontal. With forward smash, it has 3 different angles, so the straight angle is going to launch in front of Mac the farthest out of all the angles, and it does the second most amount of damage. The upward one kind of covers a bit more vertical range, so if people try to jump over you, it's very similar to your up smash, but a bit faster. You can see, it's much faster than the just forward angled forward smash, or I guess neutral angled forward smash, but if you angle it upward, it's slightly faster and it does a bit less damage, but it also doesn't cover as much horizontal distance, it just covers more vertical. And then if you angle it downwards, you cover people that are trying to like crouch underneath your like angled upward forward smash, for example. Although that does hit opponents on the ground, so I guess if they are trying to cover or to duck under that move there, because Wii Fit Trainer, for example, can kind of just crawl underneath it, then you can angle it downwards to hit them there. It also does the most damage out of any of the moves, although it doesn't offer too much knockback. You can see there, whereas if you do it like this, it offers a bit more. Can't really tell it's 0, but it does do a bit more. And it also does more shield damage than angle down one. So if your opponent shields it, they will take a lot more shield damage than if you just ran up and forward smash them with the neutral angle. But you want to make sure that whenever you're angling it, that you don't do like a down smash or an up smash if you're trying to do the forward smash, because they also have a little bit larger punish windows, the up smash, although down smash doesn't have as large of a punish window, but it still has a decent one. Covers rolls pretty well, it can 2-frame, it has super armor, hits opponents low to the ground, but people can just jump over it, or if they like just shield it or move out of the way, then they get a pretty free punish on Little Mac. Same thing with pretty much all his smash attacks. If you do shield them and your shield doesn't break, because they do decent shield damage, but they don't do enough to break your shield until your shield's at about a little bit above middle percent on shield, so I would say whenever your shield's about here, then if Little Mac does pretty much any one of his smash attacks, they should be able to break your shield. So if you're not at any like shield percentage around this percent, then you can pretty much just shield all of his smash attacks and then just run it and punish. But you don't want to shield every one of Mac's attacks, you'd rather just run out of the way of them, because you can punish them a bit safer, because you don't have to worry about your shield being broken. For your aerials, you've got neutral air, which is very similar to like Ken and Ryu's down air, I believe it is. like it looks very similar, but it doesn't cover that much range. It doesn't do that much damage either. It does about 2.5%, and then it starts becoming stale and doing about 1%. It's very quick, but it's pretty much where Little Mac's hand is. Like, that's the only hitbox, so you can see you'll just miss a move most of the time. Like, if I move a bit forward while I'm jumping, then I might be able to land it. But you also have to do it pretty low to the ground. Not that good of a move for, like, interrupting attacks. Or I guess if someone's, like, charging a smash attack, it's pretty good at interrupting that, but if somebody's trying to, like, jump to stage, you don't just want to short hop neutral air, because they'll pretty much just take this much knockback. Well, it'll pretty much be like doing that to them, so then they can just up B, and they should be able to get back to stage. With your forward air, or I guess we'll go over back air first, so back air is going to be one of your better edge guard tools, although you don't really want to go off stage that much for edge guarding, so it's not used too much on there, but just the stage in general. So like if people are playing in the air a lot, you might want to throw out a back air just to try and get in a bit of damage. It does have a lot of startup, but it does a bit more damage than forward air. And forward air is a bit faster. It goes upwards, and like down air goes downwards, so you're able to hit opponents that are falling with down air, and then opponents that are rising with forward air. And then same thing with up air in terms of rising. You can also use up air to chokehold, and you can hit people on the ground with up air, but still not that great of an aerial. Like, pretty much none of Mac's aerials are going to be that great. And then, I also didn't cover down air. So down air, if you thought neutral air didn't really cover that much range, down air is much worse because you have to be directly on top of your opponent to be able to land it. You cannot just land it anywhere near them. As you can see, I'm currently missing the booth even though I'm like right next to Captain Falcon, but you have to pretty much footstool on top of them to make sure that you have the move lined up correctly and hope that they don't move out of the way. And then if you do miss it, it doesn't really have that much landing lag. Like, not a lot of Mac's aerials really have too much landing lag. They just aren't that great in terms of like damage output, knockback, or just like KO potential in general. For specials, you've got up special, which it actually travels much further on the ground than it does in the air, if you can tell, so that was the air. And that's not just because I'm hitting Falcon, like that's how far it goes in the ground, and that's how far it goes in the air. So it's a pretty big difference, like short hop up B goes about the same distance as grounded up B. But in terms of damage output, so in the air does 12.6, and on the ground it does 12.6, so it's going to do exactly the same amount. It does give you invincibility on the startup, but as soon as that startup frame is pretty much gone, you have no more invincibility, so then you can be hit by an attack. So you pretty much just have to hit it at the right time. It's pretty much like trying to hit a rest to interrupt a move. Like if somebody's trying to forward smash you with Jigglypuff, you can rest as soon as their fist connects, and then you should be able to win the trade because you get invincibility. It's the same thing with Little Mac's up B. With Side Special, it covers much more distance on the ground than in the air, so much more horizontal in this case. You can see if I'm in center stage, yeah, center stage is here, so I can go to about here with Little Mac, and then if I short hop up B, I go around the same distance, but just like whenever you move forward, you can see you go to about where Captain Falcon is, and then if you go forward with this, you go a little bit less distance. Like, it's not too much of a difference, but there is a small difference. It's pretty noticeable in the air, though. As you can see, like, it doesn't look like you'd be able to make it most of the time, but you somehow do, and then most of the time you will make it to the ledge. But if you are hit out of it in the air, then you won't be able to use it to get back to stage anymore, because you can only use it once in the air without grabbing the ledge or touching the ground. But it does a decent amount of damage, about 17.6, and can be used to kill. You can also use it to edgeguard on the final stock, is when I would recommend using it to edgeguard. As if you throw it out off stage, then you will not be able to recover, and you also want to make sure that you have it lined up just right, or else you won't be able to recover either. But you can just use that to kind of snipe people with lower, or with worse recoveries. Like, if Falcon were at a bit higher of a percent, then that would have killed him. But it's still not that great of an edgeguard move because it does kill you, so it's kind of situational on whether you should use it or not. With down special, it's just a counter. It got more counter links, so you'll be able to counter moves for a longer period of time. I believe it also got less ending lag, so a little bit safer to throw out counter. But it's a very weird counter, so if you hit people while you're landing with it, sometimes you just aren't able to connect the move. But you should still be able to counter pretty much any move. Although, I'd recommend doing something like this instead. And I was doing the turnaround animation, that's why I kept getting hit by the Falcon Punch. But if you move out of the way to counter it, just like that, then you get a little bit of like a combo starter potentially, rather than doing down special for a certain move. So like if he's trying to forward smash me, for example, I might just move out of the way instead of trying to run and counter, because if I run and counter, I could be hit by the forward smash, so it's better just to try to avoid it, and then, or like bait him to try to do it and then punish that bait. But if you do run in and then you don't dash like that, and you just run in and then you turn around like that, then you slide forward a bit, as you can see, so you might slide into your opponent. So it does have its advantages and disadvantages. Like, it's a bit safer if you aren't that great at being able to turn around with like that animation there. So if you can't dash dance, basically, is what you're doing, so you just run and dash away. If you can't do that and you get in the turnaround animation, then it would be safer to throw out counter there. But if you're good enough to just be able to run out of the way of the moves, then definitely do that instead. And then for neutral special, you've got this little charging punch. It does a pretty significant amount of damage when fully charged. If you've shielded, it does a pretty high amount of shield damage. It's pretty much one of the best ways to break shields, but the problem about it is the startup. You do get super armor while you're charging it up, so people can't just hit you to interrupt the move. Another thing you can do is you can charge it while facing away with people and then hold behind you. So, like, you can B-reverse it. Let me try to B-reverse it without doing that. Or I guess you can't B-reverse the animation, but if you hold in the opposite direction than you started, then you will go in that opposite direction at any point in time. So I'm not holding, and then I started holding whenever it turned purple, and I was still able to turn around. So you do have a pretty large window to be able to change what direction you're facing. You can also cancel it by hitting the shield button. Usually I just spam it, but pretty sure you can cancel it. Yeah, you can cancel it by holding it down as well. So either option is a decent one, but you do have a bit of time before you can cancel it, as you can see. You have until it starts changing colors, pretty much. So if you just tap B, it doesn't really go that far, and it doesn't do that much damage. It kind of just depends on how long you charge it, the more damage it will do. So when it's purple, you do about 30%, and then whenever it turns red is whenever it will do about 37%, so it will do the most damage, and also do the most like shield damage and travel the most distance. And then let me get hit a bit and try to fight Falcon so I can charge up KO Punch. So I'm just kind of going to play this game a bit, although I'm mainly just trying to get KO Punch. I'm not really trying to win, so that way you can show off KO Punch. Should have down smashed there. I was trying to, but I accidentally down tilted. But yeah, there we go. So I got that KO. But yeah, as you can see, I rarely use neutral B in the stage. Unless I'm like 2 stocks ahead, I will use neutral B then, but I'm not going to use it while it's this close. But yeah, now that I've got KO Punch, I do want to try to test something here. So with KO Punch, your opponent can hit you out of the KO Punch and you will lose it. But whenever it's fully charged, you can just tap the B button and you will go and do a pretty powerful uppercut that I'll show in a second. I just want to see if down tilt into KO Punch is actually a combo, because I'm not entirely sure if it is. So let me test that real fast. Yeah, there we go. So it is a combo. And a really easy kill setup. So that worked at about 30%. It does not kill at 0, even though it looks like it would be a one-hit KO. It will do a pretty decent amount of knockback, and it does about 30%, but... Or it actually does, yeah, around 20%, not 30%. Or what does down tilt do? 8.7. Because I did down tilt into... Okay, so that does 10, so it does about 14% if I had to guess, but it does a lot of knockback, so it will knock opponents into the air. If people try to counter it or shield it to try to like parry it or anything like that, it will go through counters, through shields, and through parries pretty much. It will not go through air dodges or spot dodges or rolls. So if your opponent does any of those options, then they will be able to avoid it. But if they just run up and shield at Little Max, then he can just KO punch through their shield, because it just hits through shields. But yeah, it's one of the better one-hit KO moves in the game. Like you have, I would consider Warlock Punch to be a one-hit KO, and then Judge from Game & Watch, but I feel like KO Punch is probably the best one. It's between that and Waft, because KO Punch can be set up pretty easily. Although if Little Mac is hit enough, then he will lose it, whereas with Wario's Waft, he won't use it, or lose it until he uses it. But if he uses it, it has a little bit less range than KO Punch. Because KO Punch has about the same amount of range as Up Smash, although it covers a bit more vertical range because Mac does a bit of a jump to get more distance in the air. So if opponents try to jump over him, he can still hit them. So yeah, I kind of showed a game already, but I'm actually going... Or I guess I gotta show Grab. So Grab is incredibly slow. Dash Grab especially, but just Grab in general. Very slow move. So I would not recommend to use it that much. It's not really that rewarding. Like, you can maybe get something like that, but, like, down throw, not really any true combos out of down throw, like maybe down throw F tilt. Although, that's kind of me just guessing. Yeah, you can hit, like, the first hit of F tilt, but you can't really hit the second one unless you delay it, and then it's not true. With back throw and forward throw, they aren't really kill throws, but they can kill at higher percents. They mainly just set up tech chases on the ground, which Mac is really good at covering tech chases, as I said earlier. But as you can see, it's not that great for just killing someone off the side of the stage with a back throw or a forward throw. Like you see, back throw is a little bit better in terms of launch distance, but forward throw, not that great. So yeah, now I will go into a game, so... Kind of ruled there. Wasn't the best idea. Gonna get a Rapid Jab here. Little Mac's Rapid Jab is one of the better ones in the game, as it does a decent amount of damage in the lower hit range, so around like 10 hits it will do about 20%, I believe. So that's why I consider it to be one of the better ones. I'm gonna try to set up for KO Punch here, but I just got Rapid Jab, so it's gone. I'm gonna side special here and side special here as well to try and get a bit of stage back. Gonna be another down smash, maybe? Nope. Okay. But as you can see, if you just throw out down smash, if you're unsure what your opponent's gonna do, you have a lot more time to be able to react to them trying to punish you than if you throw out forward smash. But forward smash is really good in that situation, because you will be able to land it very easily as your opponent just jumped on stage and they have a lot of in-lag from their recovery. I'm gonna recover pretty low here, so that way I could get hit like that, so that way I could recover high. But yeah, forward throw is going to kill. I just kind of was waiting on Falcon to kill me there, so that way I could reset this stock at 0. You don't want to be hit at a low angle like that, because that means that you'll most likely have to use your up special. So like, Falcon's down tilt is a really scary move for Mac to deal with, because it hits at such a low angle that you'll most likely have to try to get back to stage by using your up special. But yeah, I'm going to neutral special in here, because he's shielding. Yep. It does 44.1%, that's how much damage it does. I'm going to charge up one of these here. I managed to hit it, because I guess he didn't expect it. But as you can see, at 14 hits, it did about 13%, so it's not that bad. It's not anything like Robin or Bowser Jr.'s jab or anything like that, but it's still a decent enough move. But then he recovered there, and I was able to take the game. So, yeah, what I want to say is just kind of spam, like, down smash if you're unsure what your opponent's going to do. I like to do forward tilt whenever they try to land in front of me at lower percents, and then higher percents I'll go for forward smash. Although sometimes I just go for forward smash in general. Whenever max at a higher percent, I'll usually go for forward tilt more unless I need to clutch the game, and then I'll go for forward smash as a risky option. I do throw out counter a bit much, although I didn't do it at pretty much any point in that game because I was playing much more aggressive than I usually do as Mac. And he does really well aggressive, but he can be played a bit more defensively if you're not comfortable playing aggressive characters. With playing Mac aggressively, the main problem with that is you're most likely going to be at 100%, because you kind of just have to try and get in some chip damage, and when your opponent's at about 30%, that's when you really start to play aggressively. And you want Mac to be at a higher percent, so that way you can have a bit more damage output with rage and stuff like that. But it's still not going to be too great for him because if he's hit off stage, and that's a very bad spot to be. But yeah, I guess here's what the game says about KO Punch in case you're wondering about that. So yeah, you can just pause that and then be able to see whatever it has to say, and then you can also see the names of the moves, but I don't really know the names of every move in the game, so I just kind of refer to them as like neutral special or stuff like that. So I'm gonna have up taunt, and then side taunt, and down taunt. But that is going to be it for Little Mac. I'm going to set things up for the next stream, which is going to be Greninja. Tomorrow's characters are going to be Palutena and Pac-Man, then Robin and Shulk. I will continue to do pairs of 2 until I have enough to be able to not have to worry about streaming anymore for the week that I'm gone. So yeah. I'm sorry that I can't stick to doing just like one character a day. I would if I could, but kind of just have to be able to get a video a day is what I want to try to aim for. So it might not be the same as streaming one character a day, but it should be a video a day. So yeah, I guess I'll see everyone in a few minutes.